दर्शकवृन्द नमस्कार। नेपाल क्रान्ति टेलिभिजनमा यहाँहरूलाई हार्दिक स्वागत छ। क्यानाडाको ग्रेटर टोरन्टो तथा वरपरका क्षेत्रमा नेपाली संस्कृतिको सम्वर्धन गर्ने यस टेलिभिजनको मुख्य उद्देश्य रहेको छ।
हाम्रा प्रायोजक हुनुहुन्छ
नेपालका लागि सबैभन्दा सस्तो टिकटका लागि हामीलाई सम्पर्क राख्नुहोस्। सम्पर्क नम्बर 4168467239। Contour Travel and Tours. Book online or call us. Call us for lowest price to Nepal at 416-846-7239.
Looking for a dream home? सम्पर्क गर्नुहोस् वीरेन्द्र शाही घरपटु सेवाका लागि।
नमस्कार, म भास्कर कुमार झाको तर्फबाट म ब्यान्ड रिहाब फिजियोथेरापी अन्तर्गत दुईटा क्लिनिक अहिले तपाईँको ब्राम्पटन र मिसिसागामा सञ्चालन गर्दैछु। एउटा हाम्रो बोमेड र केनेडी ब्राम्पटनमा र अर्को ड्र्यू रोड मिसिसागा माल्सनमा। हामी विभिन्न सेवाहरू यहाँ उपलब्ध गराएको छौँ। हामीसँग विशेषज्ञ डाक्टरहरूको टोली छ र त्यसमध्ये हामीले फिजियोथेरापी, मसाज थेरापी, काइरोप्र्याक्टर, एक्युपङ्क्चर हामीलाई परेको बेलामा सम्झिनुहुन्छ भनेर म विश्वास राख्दछु।
नेपाली भाषामा गुणस्तरीय डेन्टल सेवाका लागि मिसिसागा शहरमा अवस्थित तपाईँ हाम्रो चिरपरिचित र विश्वसनीय वर्ल्ड ड्राइभ डेन्टिस्ट्रीलाई सम्झनुहोस्। वर्ल्ड ड्राइभ डेन्टिस्ट्री डाक्टर नीलु केचरी। थप जानकारीका लागि फोन नम्बर 9056967500 र वेबसाइट www.worlddrivedentistry.com।
के तपाईँ घरमा पनि चाहनुहुन्छ अनि 24/7 अनलाइन पनि बस्न मन पराउनुहुन्छ? त्यसो हो भने हामीलाई सम्पर्क गर्नुहोस्। हाम्रो नेपाली कम्युनिटी डाइरेक्टली तपाईँलाई घरमा पुर्याउनेछ अनि 24/7 अनलाइन एभाइलेबल गराउनेछ। सम्पर्क नम्बर 416-938-2106। छिट्टै सम्पर्क गर्नुहोस्।
दर्शकवृन्द नमस्कार, म बिमला सापकोटा र नेपाल क्रान्ति टेलिभिजनमा यहाँहरू सम्पूर्णलाई स्वागत छ। आज हामी सदा चाहिँ उपस्थित भइसकेका छौँ। हरेक विकेन्डमा उपस्थित हुने हाम्रो बाचा सहितको आजको प्रोग्रामलाई पनि हामीले फेरि पनि कन्टिन्यू गरेका छौँ र आज यो प्रोग्रामको विशेष अतिथिको रूपमा हामीले हाम्रो एकजना नेपाली कम्युनिटीका स्टाब्लिस्ड बिजनेस पर्सन आई वुड से लाई इन्भिटेसन गरेका थियौँ र he actually accepted our invitation and he is here today. His name is Amrito Bhattarai and he is a mortgage specialist, actually mobile mortgage specialist, and let's welcome him. Amrito, you're welcome to the program. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Oh, thank you so much, guys, for having me on. Sabajana like namaskar. Sabajana like I want to try to add some Nepali in here, okay, in this conversation. It'll be very multilingual. But ekdam khusi lagiरहेछ यो business मा जुन छु, I get to work with the community. मेरो नेपाली पनि अझ improve भइरहेछ हैन, professionally as well. So no, I'm very excited to talk to you guys.
Thank you. फेरि पनि धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु मैले। I just wanted to ask you because when you're speaking in Nepali, I just heard some sort of accent in your Nepali, so I wanted to ask, when did you come to Canada, and like talk about your schooling as well, please.
Yes. So I came to Canada when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And that time we still debate about it with my dad. It was 1992, I believe. Okay. So my dad came up with the rule, which was speak English in the home so our mom can learn English faster. But we lost Nepali very quickly within a matter of 1 or 2 months. And then I got married and I've got constant practice happening on a daily.
Of course, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you were here at the early age and then you've been speaking English rather than Nepali for so long. So that makes sense. But I hope you do understand Nepali as well, right?
Oh, of course. I understand it more so, especially if you're going to be yelling at me. I know what you're saying. If you're angry. I know all the bad words. Now, going back to your question, I grew up in Guelph, Ontario. I went to school in Guelph, both my elementary and then my post-secondary. I went to University of Guelph. Did a course, like I did management economics. It's a BCom course. I specifically studied finance and economics. And that was my life. I grew up in Guelph, and for the last 14 years now, I am a proud Brampton resident,
Bramptonian.
the proud Bramptonian.
Of course, of course.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, like, your schooling has been in Canada,
Yes,
and then
yes.
you're like, you choose commerce and
Yes.
finances. And
Yes.
what makes you choose specifically mortgage, even within the finances? What was the priority for you to be the mortgage specialist?
So when I was in high school, I had attended a business seminar. That was a high school business competition seminar, which is, you take a business idea, you pitch it, and you do a business plan. And I really enjoyed the theatrics of business, right? You get to be on stage sometimes, you get to talk, you get, it was very glamorous at that time when I didn't know anything, right? And then when I took the actual degree, it was heavily, my program was heavy into math. Like in the last 2 years, it was just straight high level mathematics. And I realized, okay, that's not what it's about, but it was very interesting because I was working at the bank at the same time. I was doing my part-time job at TD Bank at that time. I was a teller throughout university. Then I became a financial services representative. And I remember doing my first mortgage deal while I was in university back in the day.
That's great.
And yeah, it's complicated, but it was exciting. It's challenging. It's stressful, and the rewards. It's very rewarding, but extremely stressful at times. As we can see with these current conditions, right? It can be a very stressful job, especially given that rates are changing, affordability is going down, people are freaked out, right?
I know. So, I was going to ask you the same question as well. Like recently, the mortgage interest rate has been like going up and up and up. So
yes, yes.
Can you please expand or elaborate that? Because like can you do that in Nepali as well? So I want our Nepali audience as well to understand like a very detailed manner that what's the impact? Why is this happening actually? किन भइरहेको छ? अनि त्यसपछि impact के छ? अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ what's next? हाम्रो अडियन्सहरूलाई चाहिँ कसरी एकदम सिम्पल ल्याङ्ग्वेजमा बुझ्ने गरेर इभन लाइक फर मी फाइनान्सेस इज नट माई लाइक न त मेरो ब्याकग्राउन्ड हो न त मेरो फिल्ड हो होइन आई एम टु लस्ट when I talk to finances I'm very lost, so I don't even want to deal about finances. That's why at least make me understand so that I hope everyone will understand as well.
100%. Now पुरा अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ गर्नको लागि होइन सायद 2-3 लाइफ नै चाहिन्छ यो सबै इकोनोमिक्सको बारेमा, यो मोर्गेजको इन्डस्ट्रीको बारेमा होइन. दिन नयाँ डेभलपमेन्ट भइरहेछ. यो जुन अहिलेको सिचुएसन छ हाई इन्ट्रेस्ट रेटको इन्भाइरोमेन्ट होइन, यो 1 वर्षमा यति ऱ्याडिकली चेन्ज भयो कि a year ago or 2 year and a half ago जब रेटहरू 1%, 1.5% मा भेरिएबल पनि एकदम पपुलर थियो त्यति बेला, the Bank of Canada जुन regulation गर्छ होइन, every month we wait to hear what the Bank of Canada is going to say. त्यो क्यानाडामा एउटा फेडरल रिजर्भ जस्तै टाइपको इन्स्टिट्युसन छ होइन, युएसमा फेडरल रिजर्भ छ, क्यानाडामा बैंक अफ क्यानाडा छ. अनि those are the guys that make the decision. And how do they make the decision? Rates बढाउने कि नबढाउने, and it all comes down to inflation, right? अनि त्यो कुरा एकदम important छ because we need the value of our money, right? So inflation, if they let it go, then it's worse than what's happening now. At least the Bank of Canada ले भन्छ यही कारणले एकदम drastic measures लिनुपर्छ, न त मनीको value नै घट्छ हैन. अनि why did this happen? It's because COVID को बेलामा एकदम खर्च, let's not say खर्च, let's say printing, right? They printed so much money, right? Not just Canada, but the entire global economy ma, it was like a free pass. Every government just printed. And when you print money and you have all that extra supply of money in the economy, right? त्यो कारणले इन्फ्लेसन हुन्छ हैन, त्यो कारणले त्यो interest rate बढाउनु पर्छ किन त्यो, let's just say simplistic way that money has to be pulled out of the economy, right? Because otherwise it's going to remain, the inflation problem is going to remain high, right?
Can
Who
I
is to
can
blame?
I
Yeah.
can I ask you something? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just cutting you off, but I'm trying to understand. Like, let's say
Yeah.
the government printed lots of money during COVID and
Yes.
then distributed it to the people of the
Yes.
country, right? Right now,
Yes.
people have lots of money and the government
Yes.
has less money.
So
Is that why the government is like trying to increase the interest rate so that people will pay more money?
so यस्तो छ हैन, जुन Bank of Canada को institution छ नि, त्यो
Mhm.
हाम्रो federal politics, हाम्रो mainstream politics भन्दा छुट्टा छ. It's an independent institution, हैन? So
हजुर.
तिनीहरूको जुन decision हुन्छ, it's always based on math, it's always based on data. It has to
Exactly.
be based on just raw numbers. Like when they do the analysis, it has to be based on data, right?
Okay.
So त्यो government को कुनै हात हुँदैन, हैन? तर but the government still benefited a lot by
Mhm.
printing the money at that point.
Mhm.
And are they the ones who are paying it back now at the high rates? No, right? Everyone else is paying it back at the high rates.
Mhm.
So it's a complicated problem. त्यो त एउटा policy कुरा हुन्छ हैन, त्यति बेला मलाई experience छ कि people were getting money out of nowhere. You know, $40,000 deposit भइरहेको थियो मान्छेहरूको inactive businessहरुमा, हैन?
Okay.
जुन business active पनि थिएन. It wasn't active businesses. These are inactive. कसैले business खोलेको छ, यतिकै छोडेको छ, हैन? Accounts छ, maybe they're paying the fee. Those people also got $40,000,
Mhm.
right? Now, just the careless spending, I mean, so that's a political issue, right? But also that also plays into the fact that we had so much money injected into our economy that time. अहिले, it's a drastic measure to take it out. If you look at the charts, this is the most amount of money that's ever been printed, ever, right? So,
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
म आफैलाई पनि अलिकति confusion थियो त्यो कुराको
Yeah.
चाहिँ. That's
हजुर.
okay. Now, let's go back to like what is mortgage and why are we paying mortgage? As long as I
Sure.
know, like from back home experience, we never paid mortgage on anything.
I know.
Everything was
I know.
like bank to bank or cash
Yeah.
to bank, bank to cash, or person to
Yes.
person, right? So
Yes.
what is mortgage and why are we paying
Yeah.
it? Can you please
Well-
like state in very simple language?
Mortgage, I believe, is the most fundamental financial tool that Canadians have to own a home, right? Because just like you said, other places you need lots and lots of cash to buy a house, right? It's not possible, even for 500, 600,000. Even if you had that money, the ability to get a mortgage on it is still more beneficial for multitude of purposes, right? Multitude of reasons. We are a credit-driven country. We're a credit-driven economy, right? The banking sector is huge, and credit and loans and the credit system is strong, right? So in one way, it's bad because it can really add to people's debt load. When a मान्छेले एकदम ऋण लिन सक्छ अनि they can have a hard time paying that debt. अर्को साइडमा यो innovation पनि बनाउन सक्छ, हैन? So कसैको ideas are they need funding, they can get money. They can get money from their home. They can get from their equity. And your mortgage go, mamlata, this is about your roof over your head, right? So if you can understand mortgages and you can understand the mortgage process and you can see how it works for you, then it's a wealth building tool as well, right? It can help you actually grow your finances. And I think we've seen that in our community, how many people have, right?
मैले पनि लाइक जनरल लाइफमा कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मान्छेहरूलाई अब जस्तै घर पे आउट गर्यो भने चाहिँ अलिकति इजी लाइफ हुन्छ भन्ने कुराहरू गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मान्छेले यहाँ के भनिरहेको सुन्छु भने नो घर पे आउट गर्नु भनेको इट्स नट गुड आइडिया बिकज यु क्यान गेट मोर मनी and lesser interest rate. So why don't you use your money to something else and then get money
Right.
from the bank to have your
Right.
house, right?
Right.
So
right.
यो कन्सेप्टलाई चाहिँ तपाईँले के भन्नुहुन्छ कस्तो भन्नुहुन्छ it is a good idea to have mortgage rather than like having a paid house.
होइन choice छ त हैन आफ्नो आफैसँग choice छ त आफ्नो principal residence मा जुन घरमा बस्नुहुन्छ that house you should ideally the best financial plan is to have no mortgage on that house, right? You don't have any debts towards your own principal residence. However, if you take a home equity line of credit against that house, if you have all the equity, अनि त्यो युज गरेर तपाईले इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गर्नुहुन्छ हैन अरु property किन्नुहुन्छ अरु चिजमा इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गर्नुहुन्छ त्यसको इन्ट्रेस्ट tax write-off हुन्छ, right? So even
Oh.
against your own principal residence, if you have zero and if it's free and clear and there's no balance on it, if you take out some equity from there and you do it in the form of a line of credit, and then you invest that to purchase maybe another investment property, right? You use it for the down payment. Well, now that home equity is a tool for investment. So that means that interest is also a tax write-off. If, again, talk to your accountant. I'm not your accountant, but I think most accountants they deal with, they see they give this advice if that equity piece is available, right? म त खास यो strategy एउटा customerबाट सिकेको थियो, right? It was a very good idea. He said he had like 6-7 rental properties, and उसको principal residence को घट्दै घट्दै, he just kept taking equity out of all these properties and increasing the mortgage on the rentals and paying off his principal residence. So
actually,
it's just about how
so
yeah.
यदि आफ्नो principal residence छ अनि त्यो residentबाट चाहिँ line of credit निकाल्यो अथवा home equity line निकाल्यो अनि त्यसपछि
हजुर
अन्त कतै invest गर्यो भने you can write off on your
That's
taxes.
right. That's right. Again, talk to an accountant and make sure you do it the proper ways. But yes, if it's just if it's a mortgage, then obviously that's different. You can't write off any interest off of the mortgage. But if it's a line of credit and you're using that, you can show the funds that have been used for the investment, right? Then it becomes a tool of investment that you can write off.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's actually very good to know. I actually did not know anything about this.
Yeah. Me neither.
Hazir?
Me neither. I didn't know. I learned it, right? Because I see the different types of clients, different strategies, and then I'm like, okay, this is smart. Yeah.
It is actually smart if you think of it like in a detailed way. I think it is really smart idea.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a break, but after this question, I'm gonna ask you one more question before we take a break, and then we'll come back to our regular program again. Like भर्खरै भन्नुभयो तपाईले अब काम गर्दै जाँदाखेरि सिकेर मैले थाहा पाएँ एउटा आफ्नो के भन्छ प्राइमरी रेजिडेन्स छँदैछ र अर्कोमा इन्भेस्ट गर्नको लागि चाहिँ you can write off the tax if you take it as line of credit from that house. Did you say
home equity line of credit.
Home equity line. Oh, okay. That's not actual mortgage though, right? If I
not mortgage.
Meaning, like, let's say if I refinance my house.
Yes.
How does it work? Like, does it count as a mortgage or it counts as a home equity line?
So refinance you can do as a mortgage refinance, or you could do as a home equity refinance.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. So refinance just means you're doing something with the existing mortgage, right, or existing funds. But if you do it as a mortgage refinance, right, so that is hard to say where the interest is going, right? It's hard to mathematically show this is how much interest is towards the investment because it's all in one, right? When it's separated out into home equity, then you can see all the transactions happening separately on it, right? Whereas a mortgage, you get all the funds at once, right?
Okay.
With a line of credit, you can keep, using it when you need to use it, right? And that's easier math and accounting, so that if you get audited, then you have the paper trail ready to go, right? And hopefully no one gets audited. It's a very big pain in the, anyways.
Oh, we hope so. Yeah.
We don't want to bleep that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break right now, and then I'll come back to this topic again because I find it more interesting because it actually has so much impact in our community as well.
Sure.
But before that, let's take a short break.
Sure. Okay. Sounds good.
नेपालका लागि सबैभन्दा सस्तो टिकटका लागि हामीलाई सम्पर्क राख्नुहोस्। सम्पर्क नम्बर 4168467239. Contour Travel and Tours. Book online or call us. Call us for lowest price to Nepal at 4168467239.
Looking for a dream home? सम्पर्क गर्नुहोस् वीरेन्द्र शाही घरपटु सेवाका लागि।
नमस्कार, म भास्कर कुमार झाको तर्फबाट म भ्यान फिजियोथेरापी अन्तर्गत दुईटा क्लिनिक अहिले ब्राम्पटन र मिसिसागामा सञ्चालन गर्दैछु। एउटा हाम्रो बोबेट र केनेडी ब्राम्पटनमा र अर्को ड्र्यू रोड मिसिसागा माल्सनमा। हामी विभिन्न सेवाहरू यहाँ उपलब्ध गराएको छौँ। हामीसँग विशेषज्ञ डाक्टरहरूको टोली छ र त्यसमध्ये हामीले फिजियोथेरापी, मसाज थेरापी, काइरोप्र्याक्टर, एक्युपङ्क्चर हामीलाई परेको बेलामा सम्झिनुहुन्छ भनेर म विश्वास राख्दछु।
नेपाली भाषामा गुणस्तरीय डेन्टल सेवाका लागि मिसिसागा सहरमा अवस्थित तपाईँ हाम्रो चिरपरिचित र विश्वसनीय वर्ल्ड ड्राइभ डेन्टिस्ट्रीलाई सम्झनुहोस्। वर्ल्ड ड्राइभ डेन्टिस्ट्री डाक्टर निलु केचरी। थप जानकारीका लागि फोन नम्बर 9056967500 र वेबसाइट www.worlddrivedentistry.com।
के तपाईँ घरमा पुग्न चाहनुहुन्छ? हामी 24/7 अनलाइन पनि बस्न मन पराउनुहुन्छ? त्यसो हो भने हामीलाई तुरन्त सम्पर्क गर्नुहोस्। हाम्रो नेपाली कम्युनिटी डाइरेक्टरीले तपाईँलाई घरमा पुर्याउनेछ अनि 24/7 अनलाइन एभाइलेबल गराउनेछ। सम्पर्क नम्बर 4169382106। छिट्टै सम्पर्क गर्नुहोस्।
कार्यक्रममा फेरि पनि स्वागत छ ब्रेक पछि। वेलकम टु द प्रोग्राम अगेन आफ्टर द ब्रेक। र आज हामी कुराकानी गरिरहेका छौँ मोर्गेज के हो र घरबाट पाउने आफूले के भन्छ अब त्यो के अरे होम इक्विटी लाइन अथवा रिफाइनेन्सिङ के हो, यी सबै कुराहरूलाई हामीले बुझ्ने प्रयास गरिरहेका छौँ र आई होप हाम्रो अडियन्सहरूले पनि अमृतको आजको यो प्रोग्राम पछि सम्पूर्ण कुराहरूबाट अलिकता नलेज पाउनुहुनेछ र होपफुली यु विल गेट द राइट डाइरेक्सन एज वेल। अहिलेको इकोनोमी भनेको अब एकदमै इकोनोमी आई थिङ्क मैले बुझ्दिनँ, तर पनि मैले बुझे अनुसार चाहिँ गाह्रो सिचुएसनबाट अगाडि बढिरहेको छ। त्यसमा पनि अब यति धेरै मोर्गेज इन्ट्रेस्ट रेट बढाइदिइरहेको छ कि मान्छेहरूलाई अलिकति गाह्रो नै अवस्था छ मोर्गेज पे गर्नको लागि। कामहरू धेरै गर्नु परिरहेको छ, पहिलाको कामले पनि अब नभ्याउने जस्तो स्थितिहरू पनि छ कतिको, होइन। यस्तो बेलामा चाहिँ अब भर्खरै कुरा हुँदै थियो हाम्रो त्यो रिफाइनेन्सिङ र होम इक्विटी लाइनको डिफरेन्सेसको बारेमा। अनि मैले अलिकति बुझ्न खोजेको चाहिँ अब लेट्स से आई वान्ट बाई अ प्रपर्टी, म अलिकति क्लियर मात्र गर्नु खोजेको है मलाई चाहिँ आफूलाई। आई वान्ट बाई अ प्रपर्टी, तर मैले मेरो घरबाट चाहिँ इन्स्टेड अफ लाइक रिफाइनेन्सिङ द होल हाउस I should apply for a home equity line. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
Oh,
and
okay.
I've made this mistake as well, right? Where I've done the refinance on mortgage to get the funds for the next home, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's no tax incentive at that point for me. For those new funds that I'm paying interest on that I'm using for investment, I can only do it properly when there's a home equity line of credit that's set up.
Okay.
Right. And you kind of want to think about it like this, right? Maybe you get $200,000 home equity line of credit, right? In the next 5 years, you pay down your mortgage $100,000, right? Increase the line of credit for $100,000 later, right? Keep increasing the line of credit, home equity, and keep decreasing your mortgage is the strategy. Because eventually you'll have a big line of credit available to you because you don't have anything that like you have equity in the home and you haven't necessarily used anything in the home equity, right? But then when you do use it for an investment purpose, like another real estate transaction, then you can do your deposit directly from there. You could do your down payment directly from there, and the paper trail is there. And so it's easy to then show that this money was used for investment and the interest is then a tax write-off.
ओके बेसिकली हामी अब बुझ्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामीले यदि होम इक्विटी लियो भने चाहिँ एक त हाम्रो मोर्गेजमा खासै असर नपर्ने भयो, होइन, हाम्रो मोर्गेज चाहिँ घट्दै जाने भयो, प्लस यतातिर होम इक्विटी लाइन चाहिँ बढ्दै जाने भयो, सो द्याट यु क्यान राइट द ट्याक्सेस एज वेल अन द्याट।
If it's used for investment, if it's used for investment purpose, yes.
मलाई यसैसँगै एउटा प्रश्न के पनि गर्नु मन लाग्यो भने, is it easy though? Is it like easy for people to just apply for a home equity line rather than
every situation is different. Every situation is different. अहिलेको situationमा यस्तो छ हैन, why is it more stressful on our side is everyone's purchasing power has decreased now. mortgageमा किन interest rate यति बढेको छ कि त्यो stress test पनि एकदम बढेको छ हैन। पहिला stress test हुन्थ्यो 5.25%, होइन, त्यो stress test थियो किन interest rates were much lower, but now that interest rates have gone so high, अहिलेको stress testहरू 8%, 9% पुग्न सक्छ हैन। अनि फेरि home equityमा अझ माथिको like it has a bigger stress test rate than the regular mortgage, right? So it is a premium product, it is something that is not everyone can get. However, that's my job to help you know if you qualify, right? And most people will qualify because they have tremendous amounts of equity in their home that they don't realize, and it's we're not applying for a huge amount, right? We're only starting with 100, 200, so it's doable. But I always say every case is different, right? It's
Okay.
case by case. But I've helped many get it.
Yeah, you helped
Yeah.
us as well in the beginning.
Oh, I did. Okay. Yes, I did. I
For our
remember that.
mortgage.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
I want to ask you another question as well, which is like, let's say there are so many mortgage broker right now, right, in the market, and there are like established one as well. Where
Yes.
in that case, like, should we go to the bank directly or go to the mortgage broker? What do you suggest?
Let me just break it down first. Like, what is a mortgage broker? What is a mortgage specialist, right?
Yes.
A mortgage broker is not limited to one bank, right? They have multiple banks that they can approach, right? They can go to multiple lenders outside of banks. They can go to credit unions. They have private. They have many lending options, right? And then what I do is I work directly with TD, right? So I'm a specialist with TD's mortgage products, right? So I work directly with the bank, and most of the reason I chose that route for myself is because still in Canada, about 60 to 70% still prefer to go directly to the bank. It's not that way in the States. It's completely opposite. People like to go to a mortgage broker, right? To get their mortgage things done. And who knows how the market's going to shift, but both have their advantages and disadvantages, right? On the mortgage broker side, there's people just don't know. They think everyone's the same, but they don't know that there's good ones and then there's bad ones, and there's a qualitative difference, right?
Exactly.
There's expertise. Like, someone could be an expert in one field, someone could be an expert in another part, and you may not know that until you explored that side. On my side, because I've penetrated the bank's policy so much and I've understood TD Bank, I get a good understanding of all the banks and all the lenders, right? The rates are obviously a big factor, right? Brokers sometimes end up being more expensive than the banks, sometimes directly with the bank, right? So yeah, there's challenges, there's benefits, there's disadvantages on all sides.
मैले सुनेको एउटा कुरा के जस्तै अब लाइक डाइरेक्टली ब्याङ्कमा गयो भने ब्याङ्कले एक्सेप्ट गर्दैन, ब्याङ्कले पताउँदैन भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ एकदमै त्यो जनमानसमा छ के हैन, हाम्रो यो हुन्छ नि मानिसहरुमा चाहिँ त्यो कुरा चाहिँ एकदमै छ. Do you think that's true? Like the banks, it's really hard to get mortgage approved through the bank directly. That's what I have heard. I'm not sure if it's...
No, I think what it is, Bimala, is that people have had so many negative experiences trying to get a mortgage, right? And the bank is usually the first place that they go, that there's a narrative that's brought up that perhaps it's this because I went this way, that's why it was more difficult, right? If it's a client where income, everything qualifies and everything is great, right? I say why there is no reason that I can't help them, right? If it's a complicated deal, yes, it requires your mortgage specialist to be able to do those calculations, do it in a way that doesn't have any headaches for you down the line, and be able to strategize with you and help you, right, throughout the whole process. So that's my job, is to make it easier for the client, but ultimately it's still going to be a little bit of a stressful experience no matter what. Okay. But yeah, my goal, eventually with on the mortgage side is to have a system in place so that no calls are missed. People are always communicated with. There's communication happening all the time, right? And before the deal is even approached, you have to go through the pros and cons of the deal with the customer. So they realize, okay, if something happens here, then I might need this from you, right? But you plan it out, right? This is the way that I see the business growing. And this is the way that I do it, again, on the clean, straight and narrow path, right?
Exactly. The transition
yeah,
when we definitely we came to you for our mortgage
Yeah.
as well, and then the
Yeah.
transition was really very smooth. We didn't have any problem. We didn't have any issue.
Yeah.
So the first one was also from through the bank directly, and
Yes.
the second one is also from you. So it was not
Yes.
problematic at all. But I have
Yes.
heard that banks are actually more difficult to get the mortgage approved rather than going to the broker or specialist. So.
Well, the broker for sure, I believe that because they have so many options, right? Then it's easier for them to plan their plan B, C, D, E. They have many other places to kind of go with in terms of it. And
Exactly.
yes, on the B lending side, there's many great programs, right? Really good programs for self-employed, for investors. So I would say that, the broker side, yes, maybe they can provide more options to the customer. If it's a difficult deal, right? If it's not a straight deal where, it's a difficult one, there's challenges, but you will only know that there's challenges if someone tells you that there's challenges, right? So you should be trying to deal with someone that's honest and is able to say, hey, listen, this is what's up with your file, right? Instead of taking your file and then really not being confident and then dragging your file on for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, right? And that's the issue. It's got to start with honesty, and everyone's got to respect that honesty so that okay, if this is the challenges I'm having here, then maybe I've got to seek an alternative. But those are legitimate options on the broker side as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask, you talked about B lenders, right?
Yes.
So A lenders are banks. B lenders are what are B lenders?
They're just competitors basically of banks, right? So they could be investor groups, they could
Credit
be companies,
unions.
credit unions, yeah, credit unions. So MCAP, I think, is that's a famous one, right? Or yeah, every bank's almost got a version of a B lender that's out there that's kind of working with the banks as well, but they're doing it separately as a separate entity, right?
Okay, you just
So,
said
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
You just said they are the competitor of the banks, but how come their interest rates are higher than the banks themselves?
So you have to remember again, this is not my specialty, right? On the broker side, but from what I understand, there's hundreds and hundreds of lenders, right? Hundreds and hundreds of lenders. And depending on the reason why a person is going there, right? Risk equals rate, right? So if there's risk in the file, they're going to pay a higher rate. They're going to there's no other way around it, right? Rate is just a component of risk. So that is one of the things on the B lender side where I don't think they're competing with the banks on that side. But even still on the B lending side, there's lenders that compete with the banks on rate, right? So they're looking for the triple A client, perfect job, great assets, everything, and they want that client and they want it from the banks. They want to take it from the bank's mouth and they'll offer a lower rate, maybe give you some cash back. So those types of scenarios are there because the mortgage industry is super, super competitive, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're almost about to be ending this program now.
Sure.
We only have 5 more minutes, but I wanted to ask you something before I go. As a mortgage specialist,
yes,
and from Nepali community, we work for Nepali community. We work within Nepali community as well, and we want Nepali community to get some benefit from this program as well, right? And from you too. So in that case, why do you think we should come to you rather than someone else? Why Amrito rather than someone else?
First of all, you should not come to me because I'm Nepali. Don't come to me because I'm Nepali, right? Because then it becomes, I feel like we're discriminating against the multiculturalism of Canada, right? We should all embrace the different cultures that are around here. And if the service is good, if the quality is good, if the conversation is good, if the result is good, then come to me, right? Well, I'm sure most of the people that came to me came through a referral as well, right? So I didn't spend $1 on marketing, on advertising, on anything. So I think that's the fruit of my labor is if I can produce referrals, if people are referring business. And of course, there's a familiarity within the Nepali community. and there's the familiarity because we come from similar cultures, but that should not be the only reason that you do business with
Of
me.
course, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Your service itself is like,
Yeah.
I already told you that the transition from one house to another house was easier because of you as well back then when we were buying our another house, right? So
Yes, you
I
were
guess
in Nepal.
I would say that I would
Yeah.
refer people to you as well
Yes,
because of your service, right? It's not
Yes,
only about
yes.
being Nepali or not, but it's just,
Yeah.
you know, the comfort level is like more higher, more rather than like हुन्छ नि अब एकजनासँग
हजुर।
मात्र गरिरहेको बेलामा चाहिँ definitely I would feel comfortable going to a Nepali. It's
Yes.
not, I don't think it's a discrimination or anything. I
Yeah,
just think
yeah.
like it's your comfort zone.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
that's
and that's the part. Like, I think there's a bit of relaxation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know, sometimes people when they're talking with the banks, they don't want to share everything because they feel like, okay, what I'm sharing is not good for the file, and I don't want that in the file. But I say, come in clean, tell me exactly what's going on, right? And you can be comfortable with me because, you know, there's a reference point within the community. I personally, when I do, like, I love to work within the Nepali community in terms of the businesses that have started, and they're fabulous businesses, like for accounting, for services, the restaurant businesses that are out there. I think we have to keep that entrepreneurial spirit alive in the community, and we should support each other and be honest with each other if there's anything off about any of the businesses, any of the services, right? We should be able to constructively criticize and say, hey, this is what you can do to make your business better. I'm telling you from a place of encouragement, right? Because there's some communities that do that very well, right? So we should certainly help grow that environment. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So now, is there anything that you think I have missed that like didn't ask you and you wanted to say something, or there's some message that you really want us to hear so that we can also grow?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll leave one message. We have a lot of people. This is kind of a tangent from the last point. We have a lot of people in the community that are self-employed, right? We have a lot of people in the community that are investors in investment properties that have multiple investment properties or are renting out their own home as well. And what I will say is, don't just think about those dollars and cents that you're saving at the end of the year on taxes, right? Don't try to take every penny out of the, like, let's say you're a business and you actually have a healthy profit in the business, right? Consider actually declaring it instead of having so many expenses to hide it. Because if you do start doing those types of things where you're declaring that, then the A banks are going to take more of your business in, because you'll be able to qualify with certain programs where we can add income back in. But that's only available if you declare some of your income, not personally, even if it's within your corporation. Okay, so even if your corporation declares a net profit of X, those are very good to add back into the deal, right? So always, you know, think twice about your taxes. Okay, try to show something healthy because that's how you sell it. It's not only about saving tax dollars at the end of the day. It's about your strategy in terms of your overall investing profile, right? And credit's a big piece of it. And you know, this is a credit-driven economy. So if you want to get the banks to lend you money, the A banks, then start showing your taxes. So rentals, start declaring your rentals. Declare your rental income, right? Show it. If you want to continue to grow your rental portfolio, show the rental income that you have coming in, because there's too many situations where that's not done properly, right? And we know why, because we want to save money on the tax, right? But if that is your strategy, and that's okay, then be okay to go with lenders that are going to be higher interest rates, right? Don't try to do both, because that's where you get into trouble.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much for accepting our invitation, giving us
Okay.
some insights on finances and mortgages, and I hope हाम्रो नेपाली कम्युनिटीको मान्छेहरूले पनि हेरिरहनु भएको छ र you would get some insights as well.
Sure.
Again, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
a
you.
great weekend.
Okay.
Bye bye,
Take
everyone.
care.
Namaskar.
Bye-bye. Bye, Narendra. Take care.